Come and ride with me. Yeah. I got this new gadget from TikTok and shit. Let's see how this goes. Turn my do not disturb on. Damn, hold up. Oh well. I think it's because it's dirty. It's a bit dirty, fam. It's a bit dirty. Oh well. I'll use it another time. No biggie. No biggie. No biggie. What's up, y'all? Are you ready to validate who you are? Ah! So, some dialogue. I was gonna go live and talk about this conversation yesterday, but it wasn't originally this title. The original title was named "You Are More Than Just a Number." But then I ended up talking to call family, honestly, and talking to my homie. It was a pretty good day yesterday. And I ended up changing it to, are you ready to validate who you are? Because it's a more of a proactive approach to what the topic of discussion is. And I'm going to give both their ability to shine, basically. I'm going to talk about you're more than just a number, and are you ready to validate who you are? But obviously, we're going to go with the title of this video first, because it just makes sense, right? So look, we need, not even just we, I'm gonna just say this. I am personally making this video for me to look back at within, let's say, 6 months from today. So I know 7 months from today, or 8 months is August, because August is 8. 7 months is July. By the end of July, I'm gonna come back to this same video. Just to see how much I've grown from where I'm at now to then. So future Jared, as you're listening, my nigga, keep doing great things. So for everyone that's here right now, first off, thank you for being here. Like the live for me, please. I'm trying to get more people to tap into this channel, because this channel is different from the normal things that y'all would see. What's good? So, are you ready to validate who you are? For everyone that is here, are you ready to validate who you are? Are you ready to take accountability for who you are, who you really have been, and what you desire to be? Like, are you ready for that? And if you're ready for that, I got a question for you. What does self-validation mean to you? What does self-validation mean to you? For those who's watching this right now. Oimanda Savi. That is very interesting. I don't know what language that is. It's probably out in Africa. So, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Jared Cinco. I am an artist, while also very much a thinker. I like to think a lot. And in my process of thinking, I actively take opportunities to dive deeper into whatever the topic I'm talking about. And because this topic is about, are you ready to validate who you are? We have to understand the things that pull us away from our own self-validation. And one of those things is obviously social media. Due to comparisons, due to people constantly feeling like they're not being who they really want to be, And then also on the other hand of that same clock, you also have people who get on social media just for entertainment. A lot of people don't get on social media to learn, and specifically to learn or to give a service or to provide knowledge or provide a different perspective so that other people can dive into other versions or other aspects of who they are. Now, in this conversation, we're going to talk about why is it that we need to be ready and be prepared for validating ourselves. So every decision you make, every thought you've had, every emotion you felt, it had a certain reason, validation, or purpose behind it. All three of those things high key mean the same, just in different frequencies. Now, to be real here, it's probably about, out of 7 billion people in the world, supposedly 7 billion, because who's really doing the counts here? Let's say we do have 7 billion people in the world. I personally believe out of that 7 billion, over probably a little bit under 400 million are actually people who create. So that means that out of 7 billion, you have about 400 million that's actually creating and giving a service. And the reason why I came up with 400 million is because if it was legitly a billion people, just 1 billion people on social platforms being active as far as interacting, scrolling, posting, sending, doing that every single day, a billion people, there is a high percentage of more activity that's going to be going on. There's going to be a lot more people knowing a lot more things, but it's not the truth. No matter how much information is on the internet, no one is going to really know, let's just say 80% of just their community, the place they live in. I don't even know 80% of my own community, but what I do know is about how we can analyze our own emotions and understand the thoughts that we have throughout the daily basis, and how everything connects to what we're actually going through in life. Like, for instance, I work for a company called RST Visions. RST is an acronym. I never asked the job what the hell does RST means, but the other day I had got a download of what this RST is supposed to mean in my life, and it's it was right at the peak of my head, but 1 second. RST represented. It represent real, secure timing. And it's a lot bigger than that. I don't think it's that too. I can't get the specifics of it. Let me see what Manar says. There are a lot of people who live just normal and don't bring anything to humanity valuable, and if they do it, they will be suffering and pain. That suffer and pain goes from comparisons. When you see someone doing something you've always wanted to do, you're gonna do one or two things. You're gonna either compare or get motivated. Like, you're gonna get motivated because you see it's possible and you're gonna put in the work, or you're gonna compare yourself to it and feel lower than your own nature. And when you feel lower than your own nature, you become pressing, or you depress yourself. You press yourself for things that aren't available to you, and then you demean that, you demoralize yourself for it. That's why depression is an option. Every emotion or every state of being is an option that you're feeling, and it's not supposed to be there for that long. Like, stress happens. It's not supposed to be forever. You're not supposed to be stressed out for like a whole week straight. That's OD. You're not supposed to be stressed out even for a full day. Like, things are gonna happen, but you choose how you're gonna utilize the things that's happening in your life. And this is why validation is important. What you believe to be true is what ends up being frequent in your reality. What you believe to be true ends up being frequent in your reality. Like, I personally believe right now on my journey is it's important to be secure in what I have going on. It's important to make sure that everything that I'm doing now is maintaining the lifestyle that I want. And that lifestyle that I want is just freedom to actually travel, freedom to communicate with people in multiple different cultures, and also be able to build a community, not only with the stuff I do on social media, but also build a community in places that I've lived in for a long time. I live in, not in Atlanta, but I live in the outskirts of Atlanta, like Lilburn, people have heard of Marietta, Alpharetta. I don't live over there, but I live in like those type of areas. And in those type of areas, I don't know specifically if there's like communities for self-awareness, mental health, communities for music, for arts, for giving back to schools, to the elders. I don't think that stuff like that is going on. If it is, I would love to see it in the future. I would love to see it within the next probably week, because you know how you talk about something and then like a week later you see it like going on. You're like, okay, cool, that's lit. It's just in my case, I haven't seen it. So my goal is to build the groundwork to make that happen. And I've been doing lots of studying as far as of like cinematography. I'm doing studying as far as trading, doing things that help me manifest the income so where I can actually be in a better position so where I can do that and connect with other people. Because high key, doing it all on your own, it can be a lot. But you know what you're looking for. You know exactly what you do want to do and what you don't want to do. And even the things you kind of don't want to do, it still needs to be done. Like for instance, everybody don't like working out, but nobody likes being fat, being what's the word I'm looking for? Being out of shape. Nobody likes feeling unhealthy. Like if more people felt okay with being unhealthy, it would be a lot more deaths every year, because people will get sick and not care about being sick. And the crazy part is, theoretically, a lot of us are sick all the time. The thing is, it depends on how long this sickness will drag on. Like what you eat, what you think, how you address how you feel, how you respond to reality. Like traffic, people have a lot of like traffic like heat. They get upset just as far as what's going on the road. A lot of people get upset just to the fact of somebody not driving a certain way. Some people get upset just for them saying things in a certain way that they may not like. But that trigger feeling that they're feeling is an opportunity to observe what they can change in their life. Now, in my conversation yesterday with not only my brother, but also my close friend Dre, I had came to a realization, because me and him do this thing where we talk about life, yes, but also within this talks about life and stuff like that, we also bring up the conversation of recognizing when we're getting in our own way. And a lot of the times in our life, our validation could be the cause of what's getting in our way. So to kind of bring a little full circle of this first part, my goal with this whole first point and what I'm talking about is to bring us to a point of understanding what is self-validation. Self-validation is another component to self-awareness. Like you could be aware of who you are. You could be aware of the emotions that you have. You can be aware of the thoughts that you sometimes think, and then sometimes the thoughts that you don't want to happen inside of you. You are aware of that. Cool. But now it is self-accountability is that, yes, but also self-vulnerability. I mean, not the vulnerability, self-validation. I have like my notebook right here, so it's helping me like kind of stay on point. So we're gonna talk about 3 quick points. Self-awareness. We should all know what the hell self-awareness is. Like I'm not gonna go too deep into that. You know what I'm saying? We should all know self-awareness. Self-accountability. Every time you feel something, whatever you do with that feeling, you are accountable for what you've done. Whatever thoughts you have, you are accountable for those thoughts, because thoughts carry energy. Energy is in many different forms, but our brains light up when we think something, so energy is being produced. And the more you think about a specific thing, guess what? You are now manifesting that reality slowly but surely, depending on how well you are already aligned with it, one, and two, how close is it already in your physical reality. So, number 3, self-validation. Self-validation, even if we break down this word, valley is short for like value. So when you validate something, you're essentially saying this is valuable, and I could validate for this reason, that reason, this, that, and the third. We have to address this point. Value is based on the product, and it's also based on what it can do for you or the people around you. Our self-validation is equivalent to our self-value. So let's simplify it. Self-worth. Self-validation is self-worth. What is your level of worth? If you were to ask yourself on a scale of like 1 to 100, being completely honest with ourselves, what is our level of self-worth? And regardless if it's low, medium, high, extremely low, needs some adjustments, regardless of what it is, your self-worth can always get higher. It doesn't need to stay the same. If you're in this live right now, please like the video. I'd appreciate that. Please like the live if you're here right now. Please do that. Please do that. So let's get back into it. Self-worth is equivalent to what you validate is true to you in your life. Example, I personally feel your worth is not based on the material things you have. The material things extend the worthiness of who you are. So for instance, a person who has different connections towards, let's say it's the film, it's the industry of film. A person who has a lot of value is not the person who puts you on to the guy who has all the shit that comes with having a studio shoot or a music video shoot and stuff like that. The self-worth depends on how valuable is this person in the space that they're in. So for instance, a McDonald's worker could be a high value person just because they work hard, they don't get stressed out, they understand their position, and they also know they are going to get in a better position later on. And then the fifth one we can add as like a little bit of extra sauce. They know that this is just one chapter in their life. So a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit to recognize how much value we hold in the space that we're in. It goes to the equivalence of like my I call him Uncle Q because he acts like one of my uncles, I ain't gonna lie. Like if my uncles were to dive into like spirituality and shit, he would actually act like him. He says a lot, I am as good as the energy I receive. And the energy you may receive may sometimes be negative. That doesn't necessarily mean you're negative, only because it depends on what you do with this negativity. You may be gifted with the ability to transform energy as soon as you receive it in any way that you see it form. Like, that's alchemy. That's being able to take something that's given, add your own sauce to it, and turn it into something else. There's power in that. There's actual real difference in doing that. And there's also beauty in accepting things for what they are. Because a lot of times we try to change things so much that we don't accept how valid things are in the moments that it is. So when I talk about, are you ready to validate who you are you really ready to accept your weaknesses? Are you ready to accept your strengths? Are you ready to accept where you are in the present moment and knowing that you don't have to be there forever? You don't have to be in the same position that you're in right now. Like for instance, the job that I work at now, I consistently asked God. I consistently prayed. I consistently visualized. I consistently planned to get into a different job area, a different job field, a different career, just so that I can step more into the things that I genuinely care about. And one of the things I genuinely care about is film. I love film and I love talking, obviously. So what I'm working towards right now is learning how to get into more of cinematography and writing out goals so you can validate yourself, writing out different um, different achievements that you've already done. Like for instance, this year, no, yeah, over the past year, I've done about 15, almost 20 live videos. And in all of my live videos, I've reached probably like maybe 5,000 views in the live videos I've done, which I am super grateful for. So now it's about getting a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's getting a lot more consistent with doing it as much as possible. Because granted, if you really think about it, for somebody who don't used to go live or anything like that, for someone who only used to post YouTube videos, to go live stream and talk about things we've learned in life or things we just want to express and like let go, to go from not posting no live videos to doing 25 videos and within 1 year, that takes a lot of strength and actually a lot of self-trust. Knowing the worth and the value that we have within ourselves to continue to do it. And then here's also something I had to learn within this process of doing live videos, doing different forms of content that just shows different sides of myself, is that even when you feel no one is watching, there are people who are preparing themselves to find you, in a sense. It's kind of like when you're practicing on playing a sport or researching something, you're getting prepared to be speaking, doing, showcasing the things that you've been researching, practicing, and working on. The things you do behind the scenes are always going to be put into the forefront, whether you're prepared for it or not. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's like when you are putting in the work behind the scenes, it's going to be displayed. And the way it does become displayed simply depends on, I feel like, two things. It depends on who you know, and then secondly, it depends on what are you willing to sacrifice. Because who you know could put you in position 100%. And then when it comes to what are you willing to sacrifice, what is something that you already do now that you're willing to let go to achieve this main goal in something? Like, the reason why I'm doing so many things at once, but yet I'm not really stretching myself out, I'm not stretching myself thin. The reason why I do so much is mainly because all of them has the potential to pop off, and why not show my ability to do all the things I love, especially when I literally love doing it. So, what is self-validation? How do you validate who you are? Well, I'll tell you. Being ready to validate who you are is accepting the fact that you have worth, you have value, you have something that people will appreciate. And here's the thing. The other side of self-validation, of self-value, is accepting you have room to grow. You have a lot of room to grow. No cap. There is nothing that's going to stop you more than you. Like, literally, the first video that you ever record, that you ever post, is not gonna be, excuse me, it's not gonna be as good as the 100th video. Like, how often do you do something 100 times? You know what I'm saying? I still want to see if this can work. I don't think so. What if I'm gonna put you right here. Ay, ay, ay. Hold up. Ooh, 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 ooh. I've always wanted to see if I could put this bitch like, oh wait. Doy. I could have did this whole time. That works. I like this viewpoint. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna do this for a video. You're gonna see it in the future. Nah, this is hard. I ain't gonna lie. So boom. One thing that just popped into my head. What if we hit like a bump and that bitch bro? I'm like, ah, no. We'll see. We'll find out. I'm gonna go hoop later today. That's gonna be tight. So as I continue driving, going with the flow of the day, I think one of the coolest things that I high-key appreciate is silence. Like, it's been times where I've driven in a car and either played nothing or like I have like the volume on like super low and I'm playing jazz. Just so I can allow myself to just be at ease and be. Just exist for the moment. Not feeling like I am a co-worker, not feeling like I have to work and do these things, not feeling like a social media person or a musician, just being human for the second, like for the moment, and just driving a car, just going to one destination to the next. I feel like a lot of times we try to validate our roles in life instead of just living life to the fullest. And I'm definitely a victim of that. It's been a lot of times where I'm so focused on the title of what I want to be that it take away the authenticity of who I truly am. Like a lot of times when I look at content without being in like a comparison mind state, what I do a lot of is like I notice the depth that the people bring to their videos. I notice the difference and then people bring to their videos. And one thing that always motivates me is the fact that you can tell that they enjoy doing what they do. Like regardless of how many takes people have to make to get the audio, the video right, you can tell that they actually enjoy doing it because of the consistency of what they do. Like, I genuinely enjoy talking. I genuinely enjoy building on a conversation. Now, granted, eventually I definitely want more people to see and all of this stuff like that, but it's different being able to articulate and voice out the things that I'm learning in my life and being able to have it in a video log that allows me to genuinely show myself this in the future, and or even people that I know of in the future in case they need something to give them a refresher. Because a lot of times we look at content and it be so overwhelming to us that we can't even acknowledge like ourselves for the moment. Like, I know that's happened to me, and sometimes I'll be like, I just put the phone down. I'll be like, bro, I don't need this right now. Because I don't think people recognize, like, people get up, right? You check your phone, you check your notifications. For me, the moment I hear whatever that first sound was when I check my notifications, that's playing in my head for like the next 10 minutes. So think about how much content that's popping into your head just from you watching videos back to back to back to back. You're gonna end up like being overwhelmed with certain things if you don't learn how to just put the phone down for a second and just be in the moment. And your moment could be journaling. Your moment could be reading, listening to music, working out. Shit, your moment could even be just chilling, doing nothing. I don't think. Oh shit. That shit almost had my ass. I ain't gonna lie, guys. I thought it was cooked. I thought it was over with. What? This shit goes lower? That just freaked me out. There we go. Here we go. So yeah. What I was talking about was content. Living. Not being so caught up in what the fuck other people are doing. I heard somebody say a while back that life itself is content. Like, even though these trees are super low in leaves and stuff like that, they have lots of depth to them if you just take your time and just embrace the viewing of it, the sighting of it. Sometimes I do that, like, subconsciously, like even when I'm driving or someone else is driving. This is why it's important to go out in nature. This is why people like to say go touch grass, because high key touching grass, bro, that shit, it revitalizes your system. It's kind of like Fortnite. It's kind of like rapping. It's kind of like drinking one of those the small shields, and it's slowly giving you energy back. That's the equivalent of real life, going into nature for a little bit. So the second question I had written down that I wanted to bring into conversation was, do you validate your own work? So I doubt anybody that's in this that is watching this. Well, I'm not gonna say I doubt. If you're watching this and you're a creator, whether you are an artist, you draw, you're a poet, you're a basketball player, you're a rapper, you do things that equivalence that is aligned with art. Driving itself is an art. You ever see someone backed into a parking spot without fixing at all? That was an art, I ain't gonna lie. Like, that's an art. So how often do you validate your own work? To get more specific, how often does your work, the things that you do, whether it's creative, whatever, how often does your work make you feel proud of yourself for doing it? Like, you feel proud that you finished that project, that you wrote that poem, that you drove that vehicle, that you worked out, that you played good, that all these other things, all of them. How proud are you? A lot of times, I don't even think people take time to realistically ask themselves, do I even like this painting? Do I even like this song? Do I even like how this shit makes me feel? I don't think a lot of people do. And I only say that because sometimes I don't. I'm just being real. Like, I'm not no perfect person talking to y'all. I have a lot of flaws too. I have a lot of shit that I'm working through. Keyword working through, not struggling with, not trying to figure out. I'm simply just working through it. Because at the end of the day, we all have our own things that we're going through in life. And as long as we're able to not be so hard on ourselves and appreciate the journey, we'll be fine, bro. We'll be hella fine. Being proactive is the #1 thing. Like today, I'm gonna give y'all something personal. On the way to work, I didn't play no music, play jazz. And, well, jazz is music. Duh. On the way to work, I was thinking about an old female friend. And when I was thinking about her, I thought about the last interaction that we had. And the last interaction that we had, I didn't like it, to be honest. It made me feel like as if something bad happened to her, and instead of her taking accountability of the situation for herself, she tried to make other people accountable for her mistakes. Now, being a businesswoman, the only way I feel that validates is if those people invested into you, and then they messed up, then they have to pay for it. But when you invest into yourself and you're causing other people to pay for it, like, I'm not talking about like your parents or your brother or your sister, no. I'm talking about you're making business partners pay for your problems. It doesn't matter the price of what it is, but the principle behind it is like, how often will you do this? And then at the same time with that, if someone's been doing this with their business partners, eventually it's going to lead to them doing it, or shoot, not even lead. It deprived from something that they was doing in the past, and they're doing it now. And if they're doing it already now, it's going to lead to some in the future. This is why I prioritize taking my time more in how I address and talk to people as far as like assistance. Like, I called my brother and talked to him the other day just to vent. And when we were talking, the highest point of the conversation was the fact that a lot of stuff that he's went through, I've went through it as well. And in our conversation, the thing that I appreciate the most is that he was able to allow me to recognize how much I've grown by speaking and saying, like, I'm proud that you're able to recognize that, because, you know, you're able to learn from the situation and grow from it. That'd be the biggest thing. That'd be the biggest thing. So being ready to validate who you are, take accountability and grow from it. If you want to learn how to be more valuable in your life, take accountability for what you can do and not give a fuck about what you can't do. You cannot control anybody. You can only control yourself. That's it, that's all. 2 points, which I said in this video, but I'm gonna say it again. Accept that there is room to grow. Number 2, the first creation won't be better than the 100th creation. The first creation won't be better than your 100th creation. So you got this. You got this. Keep doing what you need to do. Keep vibing. And the only reason why I'm stopping it early, because I am still on the road, but nobody's here, and I'm not gonna just talk. But I feel like I've said enough. So yeah, love you. See you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.